I welcome you back to 17th International Conference on Apparel and Home Textiles. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Sikka and Mr. Opal for our last presentation of this session. So I would now hand over to Mr. Tony. Sir, over to you.
Hi, Rajat.
Hi, Tony. Go ahead.
Thank you for being here. Rajat is an OGTC member, a garment exporter. When we asked him for his qualifications, he said that it might take 20 minutes for us to pen down his qualifications. He rather spend that time telling us what Rajat Sikka is all about than his qualification. Thank you, Rajat, for being here, and we are all looking forward to hear you out. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. I'm talking to you from Dubai. The topic today is about remote management. It has been 2 years and 2 months I have been in Dubai, remote controlling all the operations of my company, Saivana Exports. Before I get into it, one of the fringe benefits of what happened is that in the last 2 months, strategic investment took place in Saivana Exports by Off Business. And they bought a substantial stake into Saivana, which is helping Saivana grow into a much bigger organization than what it is. So this part of my talk is geared towards two people. One is, of course, the management of whoever is listening. And the other part is to the owners of the companies, of the garment exporters who are part of this conference. So what is remote management? Of course, COVID changed the whole game. If it weren't for COVID, we would still be trudging to our factories Mondays to Saturdays, in some cases, Mondays to Sundays. And we would be there from 9 to 9 and overseeing work and making sure our shipments are leaving on time. But COVID was a game changer. COVID was a life changer. It taught us, it forced us to actually remote control our companies without going to office. And that goes for middle management, that goes for junior management, that goes for the owners. Let me start with the owners firstly, who are part of this call. I challenge the owners that if they do not go to office on a Saturday, let's start with baby steps. What will happen to their company on a Monday? Friday is their day off. If you don't go to office on a Saturday, what will happen to your company on Monday? I can assure you it will still be there. It will still be there. In fact, Saturdays are now looked upon in Saivana. Earlier, when we have not been going to Saivana for the last 6 years on a Saturday. We thought that, listen, a weekend is sacrosanct. It should be spent with your family, and that our company will be alive, will be running on a Monday, and that was the case. So if the owners start taking baby steps by just not going on a Saturday, that is, and coming back on a Monday a little bit fresh with more ideas, and asking for more reports from your people, demanding accountability from them as to what happened on the weekend or what happened Friday onwards, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Secondly, as owners, you got to look at about developing a good middle management team. Saivana was able to do so because I believe that we have a good, strong senior management as well as a middle management team. You have to empower your people. That theory के अगर मैं नहीं जाऊंगा office तो मेरे बगैर काम नहीं होएगा, that is a myth that needs to be thrown out. That might happen in a shop in Chandni Chowk. If the owner doesn't go and open the shop is not going to function. Yes, that might work there, but it doesn't work in a garment company. It certainly doesn't work in an organization in which you're trying to professionalize yourself. So professionalism. Now, obviously, the question is, how do you find professionals? The garment industry is full of people who are not really, most of them, some of them are professionals, some of them are not. Of course, it's a hit and miss, but cultivate your people, empower your people, give them the powers, at least give them a chance to prove yourself. If you do not give them a chance to prove yourself, you will never succeed. Second point you're looking at for people when you're hiring them, you need to hire problem solvers. If their problems are landing up on your table, then you've hired the wrong people. You should be hiring people who can solve the problems in one way or the other. As owners, what are you looking for? As owners, you're looking for a shipment which has gone on time, a shipment which has gone within costs. There are three things which you're looking at: in time, within costs, and the third thing which I call is the happiness or the unhappiness index of your buyer. Is your buyer happy with you at the end of the day? If those three things are, if you can capture them while sitting in your living room, or while sitting in an island, or while you're sitting in Timbuktu, for all that matters, I think your job as an owner is very well done. Now, I come to the middle management level people because it's rather short the time. I'm just asking, let's say, department heads. Department heads sometimes can be very insecure in their lives. They feel that if they have a strong second in command, they will lose their jobs. They will lose their jobs because they can be made redundant. If you can give an assurance to your top department heads that, listen, your job is secure, but one of your main job functions is to appoint a strong second in command, it's worth it. Some of the best functions in Saivana are the ones where my teams have cultivated strong second in commands, where even if the department head is not there, the second in command is there. And trust me, department heads, sometimes there might be a family emergency. In COVID times, heaven forbid, you might be down with COVID, you have to be in isolation. Will your team be able to function or not? In most cases, they're not. Be seeing that the departments which do not have good second in commands, they are the ones which are in trouble. But if you have a good second in command, the department head can actually sit at home during an emergency and remote control and remote manage that department very effectively, and you don't feel the absence of that person from your organization. I ask one question to people in Saivana. People who are staying there till late, people who are going home every day at 9 and 10 p.m. As an owner, do you like that? As an owner, I hate it. As an owner, I hate it because that means the person is doing all the jobs, very hard working, but not a smart worker. That means that person is being unable to delegate his work to his team members. And that person, instead of spending time with his family, look, at 6 o'clock, you should be leaving. You should be leaving work. You should be going back to your universe. Your family is as important as your work, even more important. Your children are more important, So I have really frowned upon. I had to cut down on the practice of people staying up late in Saivana. Now, a couple of things happened in Saivana because of this. What happened after COVID, and I'm talking about remote possibilities, remote management possibilities. After COVID, Saivana saw an increase of 63% growth. Yes, 63.6% growth in our turnover post-COVID. And it's because of, during COVID, we realized that we can become smart workers. It's not about being hard workers. It is about being smart workers. It's about being smart owners. We had one of my most influential people, one of the most influential cases which I studied at Harvard Business School was about the CEO of a company called Schlumberger, which was about a 10,000 crore company. The guy used to be sitting on a desk with no papers and he used to be just filing his nails all day. And it's like, listen, you have more than 80,000 people working for you. Don't you have any work? And the guy said, listen, I've hired the best people in life who are working for me. And if they run into problems, it's only then when I come into the picture and I solve their problems. But coming back to this thing, pivoting back, is you need to hire the right people who will solve problems, right? That's very, very important. Now, you got to have faith. You got to have faith in your juniors. You got to have faith in your people. You got to have faith in your middle management. One of the main things which is asked is, one of the main things is, अगर मैं नहीं जाऊंगा, मेरे लोग मुझे खा जाएंगे. That means corruption is there. Corruption. I can tell you, corruption is in every organization. Whether you're sitting there or not sitting there, corruption is there in every organization, and you might not know it. We can have a separate topic about corruption in companies. I actually wrote a book called Stitching It Right about my journey from a car garage to Harvard, and about how, what we have done. Now, while you're sitting there, suppose I'm sitting in Saivana, do you think corruption is not going on below me or above me? Of course it's going on. But then you got to pivot back to the three things: in-time shipment, in-cost shipment, and the happiness level of your buyers, the happiness level of your workers, the happiness level of your suppliers. It took us about 7 years. I graduated from Harvard Business School in 2014. It took us about 6-7 years to build in those systems, to get these 3-4 reports, which come to me every Monday morning or every month in some cases, where we look at the performance of the company as to how the company has done, how it has performed. And we look at loopholes. We have countless number of Zoom meetings, and Zoom meetings are not there just for the sake of Zoom meetings. Action has to take place. Proactive action has to take place. Now, one key factor is, as owners, I can tell you, is that if you're hearing a word or if you're hearing a department every day, it can be this department. Just giving an example, that the fabric department is causing a lot of problems. That means you don't have the right people in your fabric department. You need to reinvent that department. I'm just using fabric department as an example. No offense to my own fabric people who might be listening in on this call. I'm just using examples out here. So there are challenges. Of course, there are challenges. What happens if your team cannot solve the problem? What happens then? Yes, that is a problem. Then again, it's all about collective responsibility. If I'm sitting here in Dubai, I'm asking for suggestions from my team members, and I'm listening to them. And I tell them, you tell me what are your suggestions. You're sitting on the ground out there. You tell me what's happening out there. They become my eyes and ears on the ground out there. And whatever suggestions they give, I trust them that they will be taking the right decisions. We have to empower them at some point or the other. As owners, as middle management, as top management, you're only as good as your juniors. You're only as good as your suppliers. You yourself are not cutting the threads of a garment. You are dependent on a thread cutter who's cutting the threads of a garment and making sure your garments are going without any broken threads to your buyer, right? So you are trusting somebody at the end of the day. Now that trust, of course, is broken time and again. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying that there are no problems. Saivana doesn't have any problems. Of course, there are problems. But at the same time, I would like to think that Saivana has got the right people to solve those problems. And with off business coming in, OFB coming into the picture, who are bringing in sophisticated oversight programs, sophisticated financial systems, sophisticated programs to measure productivity and so on and so forth. The efficiency levels, the growth levels of Saivana are now exponential. I mean, the world is our oyster right now. So we today have 6 factories. We started from a car garage in 1995. We're first generation entrepreneurs. We have 6 factories, and now we're going for the 7th, 8th, and 9th factory. We're growing. But at the same time, we're making sure that we're hiring the right people. ERP systems can help. At times, a good, effective ERP system can be a key for management, for effective management. The problem in India is very rarely do our senior managers look at ERP. They look upon it as a nuisance, literally. Kya feed in kare? Why should we feed this in? And so on and so forth. There is a lot of resistance, as we've discussed in countless number of OGTC meetings. We try to bring in new systems and there is resistance. But if the owners are insistent, if the owners if they trust their people, I can tell you a good ERP system can go also a long way in making your organization effective. And the owners and the top management, if they're away from their desks, if they're at home for any family emergencies or whatever, they can manage their companies and departments very, very effectively. Questions or anything like that?
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajat. Yes, Mr. Upal is here. Over to you, sir.
Hi, Rajat. I don't know if it's people can ask you questions like this. They will be writing you, and I be prepared. A lot of them will come. The question of smart workers is always there, and I think everyone is smart. I really wouldn't say that all the smart workers in the world joined you and the rest were left for us. I don't think that is the issue. But yes, you believed in something. That's when you went to Harvard. You believed in something, and believing in that process, you made a route in your mind where you want to go, and you stuck to it. I do know, there were tough times you had during those times also, right, believing in that whole process. Very interestingly, this is a long time ago when I asked someone a question, a big corporation in the US, the top guy wants to go. In India, you would be scratching your head. The top guy goes, how does the organization run? In your organization, top guys move here and there, and second in command or third in command. And what they said that, they told me that, and the first job of the top guy is to create a second in command better than him.
Very good. Exactly. Exactly.
That is the company policy. The guy will lose his or her job within 2 months if they don't say the second one. And I think that becomes a very big challenge in this country. Like what you said was, person feels I will lose my control over the organization if I create that. And a person doesn't see the other side of it, that if that was created, this work, which we do believe is very tiring and rocket science, is not. It could be a comfort level for everyone, and there are better things to do if those processes do go ahead. So I think that will always be a challenge. Certainly hearing you, a lot of us may start thinking, I know some of them have started reading your book.
Oh, really?
I'll encourage a lot of people in my organization to buy this, or probably I'll tell Barbara today to get 50 of them and give it free to everyone. So they are...
All proceeds to charity, of course.
So yes, certainly you have set an example of running this whole show in a much easier way. In PM Pro itself, it was trying to put our foot down on these running the factories at nights and overtimes. And we had to go through a phase of almost 2 years, which was very consistent. Some people were questioning that when I don't mind, why do you mind? The whole issue was, no, you're creating a culture, which I mind. But certainly in the last 2 years, where we've reached, I can't think of almost a very rare occasion, maybe once a year, that working nights and all has become history over here. So there is a possibility. If you were to ask the same question, is your life more comfortable? A lot of people would say yes. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
It's really been wonderful seeing you after a while.
You're right. Sure.
You have better get your visa for India. You know, if you don't come to India for 2 years, sometimes they're coming out with policies of banning such people entering India. So better keep your eyes on that.
Thank you, Tony.
Wish you all the luck. Enjoy. And I hope there is an invitation for all OGTC members.
He's always more than welcome.
If they go to Dubai, you know where to go. Thank you.
Always. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sikka, for joining us all the way from Dubai. And that's, I think, the beauty of the virtual platform. We can connect anywhere, you know, wherever we are, to anyone in the world. And thank you so very much for such a wonderful and enriching talk. I would like to thank Mr. Upal also for being there with us throughout all these presentations. And my thanks is also due to all the delegates for being there with us throughout the presentations. And I hope you all too have found these presentations indeed very enriching and engaging. Now it's the time to join us for another very, very interesting panel discussion. So I request all the delegates to kindly now leave this tab and join by the next session, that is a panel discussion, by clicking on the link provided to you all. Thank you so much.